Hello there everyone, I hope you're all doing well today. So if you all haven't noticed yet, I've been very into dandelions as of late, and I've been incorporating them into just about every aspect of the craft that I can, including a bit of cleansing and kitchen witchery, as I shared with you in my last video. There I mentioned a little spiritual and emotional cleansing spell I've been working on over the past month, and I'm excited to finally get to share it with you. So, as I said in my last video, whenever I'm doing a spell revolving around emotions or the body, I like to do a bit of kitchen witchery. As by consuming the spell, you are literally taking the energy into your body where it can deliver nourishment and healing, thus adding a powerful dimension to the spell. Besides, adding magic to everyday acts really does help to keep you connected to your craft. But anyways, let's get into this. All my life I've been drawn to dandelions. But it wasn't really until this year that I took the time to dive deep into this little plant. And let me tell you, I am far from disappointed. Magically, dandelions can be used to enhance psychic ability as a spiritual and emotional cleanser, or to bring a wish into being. And not to mention, all parts of the dandelion are edible and medicinal. So really, just all in all, a lovely, lovely plant. But in today's video, I'll be sharing with you my simple little spiritual and emotional cleansing spell I've developed over the past month using the flower heads. And because I've been on a bit of a pastry spree as of late, this little spell is encased within a lemon dandelion hand pie. A little recipe and spell I hope you all enjoy. So to get started, let's talk about the ingredients you'll need. For the crust, I use 1 tablespoon of sugar, 1 teaspoon of salt, 10 tablespoons of cold butter, 2 egg yolks, 4 tablespoons of ice water, and 2 cups of flour. Now, as I say in all of my videos that involve a crust, which is now quite a few, I would always recommend taking that little bit of extra time to make it. I know it's so easy to go buy a store-bought one, and they are generally okay, but I promise you this crust is amazing. It's one I've worked to adapt over years now, and truthfully, it's one of the creations I'm most proud of. So, I would recommend making it if you have the time. For the filling, you'll need 3 egg yolks, save the whites for the meringue, 3/4 cups of water, 2/3 cups of sugar, 3 tablespoons of cornstarch, a pinch of salt, the juice and zest of 2 lemons, 1 tablespoon of butter, and a handful of dandelion flower petals. You can really add in as much or as little as you would like to with the dandelion flower petals. Really, I don't have a precise amount. So far, they've all turned out pretty well. Now, of course, while using any wild edible, source it properly, make sure it's from a safe location and you're taking it from your property or a place that you have permission to take from. I do have a video that details all of the precautions and some things to keep in mind, and I will link that down below and up above in a card. So if you do intend on making this and you haven't watched that video already, please take the time to just give it a once over so you have some of these important wild foraging ideas in your mind. Alrighty, now that that's out of the way, lastly for the meringue, you'll need the 3 egg whites we saved earlier from the yolk, a 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar, 1/4 cup of sugar, a pinch of salt, and a 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Now, as with many of my recipes and recipe spells, a lot of the spell work comes in with just crafting with intent. Sometimes I add words. For this one, I didn't really feel the need to add any wording, but of course, if you wish to, feel free to. All of the spells I've ever shared are open for adaptation by you guys. It's important when doing spell work to make it in a way that fits you and how you practice. As of late, with any kitchen witchery I've been doing, I've been moving away from speaking incantations because personally, I'm feeling pretty good about just being in the moment with a high level of intent while baking. It's been working really well for me, and that's how I've been preferring to do spell work lately. But that may not work for you, and that's totally okay. So go forth with what you need for it to be successful or fit into your practice well. Plus, of course, this can just be a recipe to make a recipe. So let's get into how to piece this all together. To begin, I start with the crust. I do have a video that details the traditional way to make the crust, which I will link down below if you're interested. It's the way I typically do it and prefer to. But recently I got a comment from somebody who had used a potato masher to mix the butter in, and that worked really lovely. And then I had another comment from somebody who used a food processor. And so now, much to my surprise, I would recommend using a food processor to mix this crust together. It really does save time and works really well. So once you have the dough together in whichever method you've chosen, I pop it in the fridge and start making the filling. To make the filling, start by separating the egg yolks from the whites. Then whisk together the egg yolks in a bowl and set aside. Remember here, we're saving the egg whites to make the meringue. Combine the water, sugar, cornstarch, salt, zest, and juice in a small saucepan and then whisk over medium heat. It's gonna do nothing for a little bit, and then all of a sudden, right at once, it's going to thicken and start to bubble. And once that happens, very, very slowly pour a bit of it over the egg yolks, mixing continuously. This will temper the eggs and slowly bring them up to temperature so that they don't turn into scrambled eggs. It's important to go slow here and mix continuously. If you slow down on the mixing or pour in the liquid too fast, you're gonna end up with scrambled eggs and have to start all over. But once the egg yolks have come up to temperature, mix them in with the original mixture back on the stove and stir once again over medium heat until it starts to bubble and thicken once again. Once this happens, pull it off the heat and add in your dandelion petals. Mix it all together and set it aside. At this point, I like to pull my pie crust back out of the fridge, roll it out real thin, and cut out little circles. And do this over and over until I have as many as I can get. Then I lay them out on a prepared baking sheet and put them back in the fridge while I make the meringue. To make the meringue, mix the egg whites we saved earlier with the cream of tartar. Whisk with a hand mixer until stiff peaks form. Then add the remaining ingredients and continue to beat the mixture until it forms glossy peaks and sugar granules can no longer be felt when you pinch the mixture between your fingers. Then pull the pie crust out of the fridge and begin spooning a little dollop of the dandelion lemon filling on each little circle. Then top it off with a generous blob mound thing of the meringue. Really, you don't have to get too fancy with it. Pretty much it fancyifies itself on its own. Once they're all set and beautiful and funny looking little guys, pop them in the oven at 350 for about 15 minutes. Remember to focus and keep a clear intent the whole time you're working on making these, especially when you add in the dandelion and lemon. That way you'll be sure to end up with a completed spell at the end. If you were to add an incantation, I would recommend saying things while adding the lemon or the dandelion petals. And it's also not a bad idea to maybe add a little incantation in while piecing it all together. But that's just about it. It's a pretty simple and beautiful recipe that I'm really in love with now, and it's something that looks really fancy but doesn't take a whole lot of effort, and That's typically what I like to make. Sorry, I just had a bit of a cough attack, so my voice is going to be a little weird to close out this video, but we're gonna roll with it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you all have a lovely day. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it or more witchy, wickedy, pagany things, you should check out my channel. And if you want to see even more of my content and more of my life, you should check out my other channel where I share a little bit more about my world here. And if you want to help support this channel and the other, I would really appreciate it if you checked out my Patreon, which will be linked down below. Alrighty guys, I hope you have a lovely day and I hope to see you soon. Bye.